When Dr. Edith Eger was 16 years old, she was sent to Auschwitz with her family. As her mother was led away to the gas chambers, she yelled a final message to her daughter. No one can take away from you what you've put in your mind. No one can take away from you what you've put in your mind. In the months that followed, as Edith endured unimaginable suffering, she made an extraordinary discovery about human freedom. I created a world that gave me some comfort in my soul, she later explained. I was able to decide that the Nazis were the prisoners because they were the ones with guilty consciences. I don't have time to hate, because if I would hate, I would still be a hostage or a prisoner of the past. Today, at 97 years old, Dr. Eger hasn't merely survived, she's thrived. She is a renowned psychologist who helps others find freedoms from their own mental prisons. In her work, she guides people to free themselves from their own thoughts and helps them ultimately choose freedom, exactly what she discovered in Auschwitz so many years ago. As we gather today for Yizkor, remembering those we've lost, we too are engaging in an act of inner freedom. We create some space within ourselves where our loved ones continue to live and inspire us. Israeli author David Grossman calls this tikva, this hope, as an enclave of freedom in our human souls. This kind of hope, it's not passive, wishful thinking. It's an active choice, like the choice that Dr. Eger chose not to hate. It's what Grossman calls an anchor cast from a stifled, desperate existence towards a better and freer future. And when we cast this anchor through our remembrance, we affirm that there's a place within each of us that remains free. Even in grief, we are free to carry forward what our loved ones taught us. David Grossman teaches that hope is a noun, but it contains a verb that propels us into the future, always to the future, always with forward motion. That hope contains a verb is the reason why, even as the problems of our world seem to darken, we still hope for better. When we hope, we engage in an act of optimism. We cast an anchor beyond concrete and arbitrary circumstances. We place our souls in an unsuppressed place where we are free, where we know a reality of what freedom looks like. Like Dr. Eger in Auschwitz, like many of our brothers and sisters who have been released from captivity in Gaza, we can embody the words of Rachel Goldberg Poland: hope is mandatory. Hope is mandatory. Hope does not equate to certainty. It doesn't promise us that everything will be okay, but rather hope is the opposite of being paralyzed. It's noticing that even in our grief, there is still breath within our pain. A breath that we breathe all year long, mostly unknowingly. But now, during Yizkor, we take time to feel that breath and know that it is alive within us and it continues. The Yizkor service itself is an act of hope, a choice to remember those we've lost, not just with sorrow, but with gratitude for how they enlarged the enclave of freedom in our own souls. Through remembrance, it's as if we cast our anchors forward, allowing their values, their wisdom, and their love to pull us towards a future made better because they lived. Perhaps this is why Yizkor is so vital to our Jewish tradition. In our act of remembering, we aren't just looking backwards. We're declaring that what our loved ones taught us continues to propel us forward into the future. We honor them not just by recalling who they were, but by embodying the hope that they instilled in us. In this way, memory itself can be an enclave of freedom in our human souls. The summer before my grandfather, my Zeta, died, we traveled to Eastern Europe to see where he and my grandmother came from. A lot of this trip, which if you know me, you might not be surprised, was focused around food. We ate all of the savory and sweet foods he ate in his childhood, and he made sure to describe all of the types of houses and apartments and schools and buildings that he worked in. This wasn't the first time that I traveled with my grandparents. They took us to weddings in Toronto and Miami, making sure that we met all of the relatives that we would otherwise not have had a chance to meet. My Zeta and I, we loved pastries, and so he took me to almost every pastry shop. And I watched his eyes fill with complex emotions, grief for what he had lost, but also profound gratitude for the life he had built and the ability to show it to me. He would point to a pastry, mostly probably filled with poppy seed, and he would tell me how those were the types of poppy seed pastries that his mother would make every Friday. And when it would be the fifth or sixth or maybe even the second pastry of the day, he would say to me, "I don't feel well enough to eat this anymore, but you should enjoy as many as you want." Later in the trip, we searched for a kosher restaurant that served goulash, a Hungarian meat dish. He claimed that we couldn't leave Hungary without finding kosher goulash, which was surprisingly, but maybe not surprisingly, quite challenging. Once we found the stew of his childhood, he told me that that is what tasted like Shabbat. As I bit into the goulash, I realized he wasn't just sharing food. He was passing down the memory itself, ensuring that the experience wouldn't disappear when he was gone. What I understand now, especially when we say Yizkor, is that my Zeta wasn't simply showing me the past. Like Dr. Eger, who found freedom even in Auschwitz, my Zeta had discovered that remembrance itself could be an act of hope. Each relative he introduced me to, each story he shared, each taste of his childhood he passed to my palate, these were his anchors cast forward onto me. As I reflect on our travels and miss him dearly, I see that my Zeta wanted to instill the hope that he felt after he came to the U.S. He wanted me to know that even after unimaginable loss of homeland, of family, of the world he knew, he had found a way to create this enclave of freedom in his soul. His journey wasn't just geographic. It was a journey of the spirit, from despair to hope, from loss to renewal. Today, when I find the foods that we ate together or have his picture pop up on our picture frames at home, I'm not just remembering, I'm continuing his practice of casting anchors forward. I'm saying to the future, this matters, this wisdom continues, this food is still delicious, and this love endures. This is what Yizkor offers us all, not just a moment to look back in grief, but an opportunity to carry forward what our loved ones taught us about living with hope and purpose. As we remember them today, let us also commit to being the vessels of their wisdom, their values, and their love. May their memories be for a blessing, and may we honor that blessing by continuing to cast our own anchors forward, creating the enclaves of freedom and hope in a world that needs them now more than ever. We turn to page 331. You may rise, Shiviti.